We decided between us to choose just a few topics to focus on today because, as you've heard, the country gender assessments include around 6 broad topics, but we could not cover all of them today. I do want to make one note that even though, yes, I have worked on several country gender assessments, and we see very many similar themes and trends across all countries where we've done them, every country is also unique, so it is always a great pleasure for me to do a new country assessment and to learn something specific about a country and to try and pull those details that make Montenegro, that make Montenegro a specific place. So having said that, one of the topics that we took a look at was gender inequalities or equalities in the area of education. Here we took 2 kind of main focal points. The first point that we considered is how are young men and young women represented in educational specialties at the level of higher education. We know, as you know better than me, that Montenegro is a highly educated population, and women in particular are highly educated in terms of their achievements in university and level education. And we see this reflected in the data. This figure on the left shows the share of recent graduates in subjects that are connected to agriculture. And we see, in fact, a slightly higher than half of them are young women. This is a very positive finding. We have seen this in other countries, but by no means all of them. But it speaks to the fact that there are specialists in the field of agriculture, female specialists in the field of agriculture, that potentially can contribute to policy development, their expertise, technological developments. So that's why we look at this, is to know, who are the experts in the field. The second question we'd look at is if we have data available, are the educational levels of either the rural population in general, if we have it, male and female, women and men, or in this case, we have data from the previous agricultural census that was conducted in 2010 on the educational levels of both farmers, holders of farms, and also people who work in the field of agriculture, who are laborers. In general, we have more specifics in the report itself, but in general, we see a good level of education, which is reflective of society as a whole, but we see very minimal specialization in agricultural subjects, which, again, is to be expected. It's unusual, people go into farming because it's their family tradition, not necessarily because they studied farming at a university. So those circle graphs represent, kind of in a simplistic way, women's contribution at each end of the chain. And we see as a general rule that women make huge contributions in the left-hand side, in the production end. They are often very much engaged in harvesting, storing, producing products from raw materials, but then their representation or their engagement gets lower and lower as we get to the end, the higher ends, the value chain. So the ends that have to do with sales, marketing, earning income from these products. And this is a general scheme, as I said, that's the rule, around the world. Unfortunately, we have not yet found any kind of analysis in Montenegro that would help us to better understand if this is indeed the case. I just want to make the point that it is very important and valuable to understand exactly where women are represented in this value chain, because that can help target projects and programs and activities where they need it the most. The other point I want to make about it is that each value chain is different. So what I've shown you is the kind of general rule that holds true, but it could be quite different if we were looking at dairy farming or beekeeping or raising vegetables or raising livestock. We would see slight differences in this chain. And again, that information is useful because if we want to have responsive programs or support for women in agri-food systems, it's best to know where they have the biggest role. Or maybe the opposite. Maybe we want to really target an area where we see great potential for women, but for some reason they're all at this left-hand side of the value chain, and we need to really help them move further along. They need more marketing skills. They need to be able to reach markets in the EU. They need better hygiene standards. All these things could be part of a value chain assessment. So I'm talking about this point just to make the plea that this is the kind of information we would like to see. As Milena said, we are not finished with the country gender assessment. We're in the process of it. We've already recognized a lack of gender statistics and data, and we really make the plea to the country to improve. We're also missing qualitative analysis that would help us to understand really what's happening at the rural level. But I think this final point is we're also missing some of the positive contributions that women make. It's very easy to point out inadequacies, but we know, in fact, that women have a great deal of knowledge that they're contributing to agri-food systems, but we don't always capture it.